I'm messing it up. Help me with your last name again. Wait a minute. Grybiene.
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 Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, Natalie.
No big deal. Everybody does it.
I want to thank you so much for being a part of our Black Female Landscape and Nature Photographers Photog Talk interview. It's delighted to, be able to connect with you. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a lot of us to be able to connect, and having this platform where our photographers, where we can highlight some photographers and kind of share their expertise and the things that they do out in the beautiful landscape that we love. I just want to welcome you to our interview.
Thank you. I'm really honored to have been asked. So it's really cool. Thank you.
So, as we get started, let's talk about what city and state that you are in.
I live in Rifle, Colorado, which pretty much you won't have heard of. I live near Grand Junction, is the kind of the closest city, biggest city, and pretty close to Aspen, Colorado. So those are two that people may have heard of. So I'm kind of in between those two.
So what's it like living in Rifle?
It's a really interesting town. It's a smaller town. It's pretty rural. We're big enough to have a hospital, and I'm a nurse, and in my other hat I wear is nursing. So, but it's as far as a photographer, from a photographer's eye, it's just the most amazing place to live, because I am right between, like I said, Aspen and the deserts of Moab and Utah. It takes me about 2 hours to get to Moab from here. It takes about an hour and a half to get up to Aspen, so I can hit high mountain terrain, get up and see like a glacial lake, or I can head the other direction and go see the red rocks in the desert, and kind of everything in between. So it is just perfect. Just perfect living here.
Oh, can't wait. So you mentioned that your other hat, that you're a nurse. So let's talk about your photography hat. How long have you been into photography, and how?
So I was into photography. I had a film camera, so way back in the day. I wasn't very, very good. I can't say, I got it. Has one lens. I never got another lens for it. It was just a general point and shoot kind of camera. But, I got it probably 25 years ago or so. I was in my 20s and, or late teens, maybe. Just kind of for memory's sake, and I dabbled with it for years. And when we had a little extra money, I got into a digital camera. So probably.
But what made you get that camera in the first place?
I think it was for the sake of memories, just taking photos of like parties and people. Mostly started with that, and then when I had kids, of course, I was taking thousands of pictures of my kids. And I really never thought about pointing my camera at anything other than people for the longest time. But that started when I moved to Colorado, which was about 10 years ago. So we moved to Colorado, and all of a sudden there were all these fantastic things around me that I wanted to point a camera at. And I was like, oh, you mean you can take photos of things other than people? Wow. Like a revelation. Like, oh, I had no idea. And I started taking photos of the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs probably was one of the first places that I was
The
like,
Garden
whoa.
of the Gods?
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, you should Google it. It's incredible. It's just these huge sandstone, red sandstone monoliths that just kind of stand up out of the landscape, and it's incredible. It's
Wow.
like just shocking to walk among them, like you're walking among just giants. And so I started wanting to take better pictures, because I take some pictures and be like, this is awful. This is terrible. It doesn't look like anything, you know, like this isn't anything like what I saw. And I have the kind of mind where if I kind of see a problem, like
Mhm.
I want to dig into it. So like I wasn't taking good enough pictures and I wanted to take better pictures. So I started digging into it, and I like got a photography book, and I was just, started researching online, and you know, just kind of slowly picking up tidbits here and there. And
Mhm.
last fall, Olympus Cameras announced this contest they were doing, and I was like, sure, why not? You know, maybe I'll get some cool camera gear, or who knows, like probably I won't win anything.
So did you already have an Olympus?
I did by that point, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was part of the whole like progression of like cameras, and I ended up getting an Olympus by that time because it was small
Okay.
and light, and I was taking it out backpacking, and I just needed something like really compact and little that would still take nice pictures. So I had an Olympus, and I was like, let's give it a shot, see what happens, give it a whirl.
Mhm.
And so I applied for this. It wasn't really a contest, but I applied for this break free program, and they selected me out of who knows how many thousands of entries.
What's a few thousand, give or take?
Yeah, I was like my jaw was on the floor. I was like, no way, they did not pick me. That's crazy.
So you have the picture that we can show our viewers what you submitted, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, by the time that I had applied, I was on Instagram. So I had some photos that I had taken on Instagram, and I talked about in my application, I talked about being mixed race, and not seeing myself represented in the outdoors, and how important those kind of images are to young people, and how like I've kind of forged my own path of finding my way there, even though I didn't see any exemplars, So I talked a little bit about that, and that's probably why they picked me.
Really? You think that's it?
I mean,
I've
because
seen your work, Natalie.
I
Come
pitched
on, you're
I pitched a
talented.
project that this project of like, so I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna show people what I do in the outdoors, and I'm gonna like try and find other Black and people of color adventurers, and try to take some photographs of them doing their thing in the outdoors. And then COVID happened. Right. So I did not end up connecting with anybody, because that was clearly not the time to be connecting with people. And what I ended up doing was, just kind of submitting a lot of, great landscapes. I loved, I did some of my best work for them, for that project.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like it still represented a little, at least somewhat, of my project, because it was still me getting out and doing these things, and getting into spaces where people may not expect to see
So
someone of
this is
color.
something you can still pick up and capture, though, right?
Yeah. So I ended up doing some like creative selfies, and working with the timer system on the camera and
Mhm.
doing some, like, okay, I'm gonna set it up and run over here.
10 seconds.
10, 9, oh crap, I dropped my hat, whatever. But it worked out, I had a great time, like, and in the course of that, I came across this group and climbers of color out in Seattle. I came across their group and have connected with people. So in the future, when COVID maybe isn't quite such a big deal, like my plan is still to showcase people of color, Black and brown, enjoying nature and getting out there, but
Right.
it's still
That
hard.
is that COVID. But
Difficult.
if it wasn't for COVID, I think, well, I mean, COVID is COVID, but it has provided an avenue for, people like us to connect.
Yeah,
And, where a lot of people were like, stay inside, but if you can go outside, if you can maintain 6 foot distance,
yeah.
then it's like, well, I guess I can go on a hiking trail because you can't get much, you can get a lot of distance on a hiking trail.
Absolutely. And I think, in two things is one, I live in this rural area. There's lots of trails around. I didn't feel terribly restricted early on
Mhm.
because I could just hop in my car, head out. I could occasionally even meet up with friends as long as we, kind of
Right.
yelled at a distance, like, hey, how's how you doing over
Air
there?
hug.
Um, yeah, right. I miss you. Um, and so, like, it wasn't terribly restrictive in that way because I do live in such a great place. But the other thing is too that kind of turning to the internet, a lot of people turn to the internet for a long time there to amuse themselves, and like I said, like that's how I really expanded my circle and like have made new friends, and now eventually we're all going to meet in person, so very exciting.
Can't wait to talk about that. So let me ask you this. While most people feel that it's the camera that does the work, because we hear that a lot. What kind of camera do you have? What kind of camera do you have? That picture is just awesome. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. It has to be the camera, is not you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that? Is it the camera? Is it the photographer's eye? Or would you say it's just a combination of both?
You know, it's 90% on the photographer. I'd say 10% on the camera.
Mhm.
You need a quality piece of equipment, but it could be any brand, honestly, as long as you get to know it and you know the ins and the outs of it and you know how to make it do what you want to do. But in that way, it's
Right.
the skill and the talent of the photographer. And there's some things you can I don't I like I hate to sound I don't want to sound snotty.
Okay.
I don't or elitist or anything like that. Like there are things, but like with any art, like there are things you can learn, and there
Mhm.
are the mechanics of the camera you can learn. Like anybody can learn the exposure triangle, and like you can learn all of that. But then there's the art to it of the right angle, or not just using the rule of thirds, but like how do I make this have more punch or more drama to this? How can I, how do I keep interest? What do I put in the foreground, in the midground, in the background? And how can I get all those in there? There's so much to it. And you know I go out and take 1,000 photos, and maybe I'll come back with like one or two that I'm like, okay, that's what I was trying to do.
So
um,
since you're mentioning, the amount of photos and going out, let me ask you, what do you enjoy most about photography?
Uh,
Because you're an outdoor woman, like for real. Like you hike,
yeah,
you climb,
yeah.
um, kayak and all of that stuff too, right?
Oh yeah, I do all of those things. I love getting out in the backcountry, and even without the camera, I would be out having those adventures and doing those things. But there's a couple of things that makes photography really special to me, and one aspect of it is that creativity and using that creative side of my brain, and not just looking at a scene and like, oh, this is really beautiful, but kind of breaking it down. Like, well, what is making this beautiful for me? Is it the angle of the light? Is it the color? Is it, the texture of the rocks? But all of that kind of makes me more present in the moment.
Mm.
And I look at that as such a blessing of, I think before that is my dog snoring.
What
Sorry,
is snoring?
she needs a CPAP. She is awful. It's so funny. You can't
Hey,
make that much noise. You
it's
can't do
okay. She's comfortable.
she is out. She's like, mom's talking, and that's the best thing. Oh my gosh. Okay. So being in the moment, and when I am out with my camera, I am very much, present and in the scene. In a way that I'm not when I don't have my camera. Like if I go on a hike, like I might enjoy it for the physical activity of it, and but my mind wanders, like anybody's, right? Like I start thinking about work, and I start thinking about the kids, and oh, what am I going to do when I get back, and oh, I got to remember to go to the grocery store, and all those things that and I with the camera, like all that goes away. So it's nice.
Yeah, I agree. So, I got to ask the flip side of this question. What do you find is the hardest part about photography?
Oh, not being hypercritical of myself.
Mm.
I get these ideas like of a shot that I'd like to take, and in my head I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the spot at sunrise, and I just know the perfect angle, and I'm gonna make this be great. And I get out there, and who knows, the tree I wanted got chopped down, or
Oh.
or it's too cloudy and the colors aren't good, or just just whatever, just my skills aren't up to it that day, or I left my ISO setting like all the way up because I was doing astro the night before and I forget to turn it down, or whatever, 1,000 different things, right? We all make these mistakes.
Oh my God. Yes, we do.
And yeah, and like the like the night that I went out to shoot astro and I did not turn my ISO up, and came back, and I'm like just looking at my camera like, what is wrong? Like, is the lens, did I leave the cap on? I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, it's all black, there's nothing there. Oh my gosh. Like, oh, I can't believe yeah, of course nothing shows up, right? So I find it really easy for me to get like really critical of myself when I make those mistakes, and just be like, oh, come on, better, that's so dumb. And like, would I talk to my friend Angela like that? Would I say, Angela, you're so dumb? No, I would never say that. So I should never say that to me either.
Exactly. It was just meant for you to just enjoy the stars and not capture them.
Exactly. So yeah, just last night I went out to shoot some astro, and it was a perfect crystal clear night, and I didn't make it, not a single shot that I liked. I couldn't find anything, but it happens. Yeah.
You know, I mean, but you were outside and you got to see the stars the way that you get to see them without any light pollution.
Yeah.
So that means
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing, right?
Absolutely.
I'm so jealous. um, so let's talk about the most challenging part of capturing the subject matter that you have in mind.
Ooh. You know, I still feel like I'm learning. And so there, I mean, of course, right? We're always learning, but I'll get into situations photographically where I'm like, I know that there's something I could do to make this better
Okay.
in the camera. Like, and I just don't quite know what it is. um, I'm getting to where I can troubleshoot better. You know, when I am trying bird photography. And I kept trying to shoot at like an ISO 200 and I just couldn't get fast enough shutter speeds. And I'm like sitting there and struggling with it and like, well, maybe I need to put it in manual or maybe I need to do this. Like, oh, you know, if I just bump the ISO up, like it's okay to do that. And I can do that and get a faster shutter speed and not have to, yeah. So like, I think that in a lot of ways, like that is my biggest struggle, kind of still getting into those settings and like being comfortable with like thinking outside of the box.
Bingo,
Yeah.
right? You know, like you said, being manual, you know,
Yeah.
so many people want to stay in that program mode. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, no, that's all part about learning your camera.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like you have like a 36 roll of film and you just have no room to play.
Exactly. Exactly. There was a lot less experimentation when it was on a roll, but now like I can put 10,000 photos on a
Right.
single like mini card, so it doesn't even matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I you know, I shoot in manual, I shoot in aperture, and you know, I'm trying to get more comfortable with other things like you know, my husband is a sports coach and he asked me to come shoot at
Sports
the
photography.
soccer game. And so I was like, okay, I really need fast. I'm gonna go into shutter mode so I have that control on that shutter speed because that's the thing that matters right now.
Right.
Like, so like getting comfortable with that, I think. So it's a totally different thing when you're used to landscapes.
See, and I'm like, okay, she's doing a little bit of sports photography.
Not
So
well, but yeah.
so for so your most favorite subject matter is landscape, you know, right? Okay. So there was no like no one was calling you and saying, "Hey, Natalie, we have a wedding. Will you come shoot this wedding?" Oh, okay. All right. So we'll move on.
No, I've done yeah, like I said, I did go like do a soccer game once and I've done family photography, but we were outdoors. We went on a hike. I mostly did like kind of candid shots of the family enjoying nature.
There we go.
And then I did a maternity photo shoot for a friend of mine too, which you know, like it came out okay. It wasn't great. I'm not super creative with that. Like working with people is not my thing. Like
Yeah, I
it's a whole thing. Like it is very much a skill, and I am impressed with people who can like be that super creative and direct people and have them, you know, pose in these. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I could copy that, maybe.
Yeah, and it's funny because, on the flip side, they look at, us when we're out with the landscape and nature photography, and they're like, you all how far?
Yeah. Yeah.
With all your
All the
really?
gear. With all the gear.
Up a mountain?
Yeah.
They're like, no, not trying to do that. So when it comes to nature and landscape photography, let me ask you, how has nature and landscape, played a part as for being the person that you are today? How has that contributed to you, Natalie?
Yeah, to me, I think that one of the first things that my friends and family, I think that if you said like, hey, what does Natalie do? They'd be like, oh, she goes outside. Oh, she goes on hikes. She's an outdoor girl, it's just so much integral part of who I am. I need to be outdoors. I need to go on hikes. I need to like climb mountains, and I can't imagine.
I see it in your face.
I can't imagine, I guess that we moved to Colorado 10 years ago. And before that, I can't say that was really true, but it feels like when I look back at the part of my life where I lived in like Western Tennessee, that I had like a hole, like the missing piece of me, that when we moved out to Colorado, and I was like, this is it. This is where I was supposed to be. Like these mountains and this landscape, and like just knowing that, even when I'm just driving down the highway, I'm looking up at the mountains. I'm like, I wonder how you get up there. I need to find out how to go there. Oh, and over there. And probably there too. So that's just who I am. I'm always looking at the next mountain peak and like, how do I get up there?
Right.
Yeah.
Being outside is totally, it's beautiful. I mean, and I'm not doing it justice by just saying beautiful. All right. So you are asked if money is not an object. You know where I'm going. Where would you go and just let loose on your photography?
Oh man. So there's a couple places I am dying to go to, kind of southern South America, Argentina and Chile. Those I think I'm gonna mispronounce it, but I think it's Torres del Paine or something like that. Anyway, just these incredible spiky mountains that just looks like the kind of landscape that I could spend a lot of time investigating and photographing. And since money is no object, I'm also going to go to Iceland, and I got to get some Northern Lights photography going on. And all the other things that Iceland has to offer, right?
I know. So now that you were just mentioning Iceland also being part of, if money was no object, and it's funny that you bring up Iceland. Someone asked me, you want to go to Iceland next year? I'm like, no, not right now. Because it's like you think of that stuff like, okay, I have, these trips planned out. Do I have an extra $6,000 to go to Iceland? And then it's funny because, I'm that type of person that I'm going to look to see, what else is around. I'm like, oh, the Faroe Islands are there too. Right.
Yes.
Iceland is just one of those places that we as, landscape and nature photographers is just like,
Oh gosh, yeah. It's
right.
it's the pinnacle.
I
Like,
know,
yeah.
but there's also so many places that this
Oh
earth
yeah.
has. It's just like, let me just go to every country and just, have a
I
look.
mean, I'm sure I could be happy with any country. If anyone's offering any free trips, like I'm down. I'm there. Just let me know. Give me some dates. If you're paying, I'm there.
Me too. Me too. So with if money was no object, let's bring it back to here in the US during the pandemic. And we kind of touched on that earlier, as far as how it affected us, and for you, you had the hiking trails nearby, so it's like, oh, perfect, social distancing, not a problem, I'm going hiking. So would you say it really didn't affect you at all, or did it in the sense where it kept you, it had you checking out more trails around the house, around where you live? How has it, or how has it not affected you?
So definitely at the beginning, I don't feel like it made a huge difference, like in my social life. For my nursing career, it was quite shocking.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And thank you for being on the front line for us.
oh yeah.
Thank you.
It's it was that was very stressful, but that also led me to want to be outdoors more. So I did a lot more local exploring, and I felt like if I can get there with minimal human interaction, basically, if I mean, I have to fill my gas tank anyway, so as long as it's just like a stop at a gas station, like if I can drive there, then I'm okay. I'm still okay, and like I said before, like the place that I live, I'm just uniquely positioned where there's just endless things to photograph within 2-3 hour drive from where I am. So I didn't feel that restricted. I know a lot of people who are more travel oriented and who go to these far-flung locations, really felt the pinch, but like I felt like it helped me explore locally better, and also just made me look at the place with new eyes, like, oh, I've been to this park over here, but like I didn't really realize that you could like kind of go under the bridge and kind of jackrabbit over here and go see this other section over here, and I may or may not have climbed some fences and
That's part of what we do. I mean, that helps us develop our climbing skills. Exactly. Climbing a fence. I mean,
and honestly, if I went a different way and I happen to come back through the gate that says no trespassing, well, I didn't know.
I mean, if the sign was not visible, how do we know it said no trespassing?
I didn't know until and then I said, oh, I guess I can't go back that way. I'm very naughty.
Things we do.
Like if nobody sees me, it didn't happen, so it's fine.
Hey, I have to, I'm not going to have you out there by yourself. I too have practiced climbing. I too have come across those signs where I'm like, I don't understand what that means. Let me go in anyway.
Does that mean me? No.
No, it's not me. It's for somebody else.
No.
What inspires you?
Gosh.
Or what? It doesn't necessarily have to be a who.
I mean, I get inspired on Instagram all the time. But I always take things my own way. So
Mhm.
I see, oh, Angela's out taking pictures at the beach again. Like, that's so cool. There aren't no beaches in Colorado. So, I'm like, oh, I'm jealous.
Don't be jealous.
I'm
I
gonna go to the
mean,
reservoir.
so I can go to the mountains and take pictures, go
Yeah.
down to the beach. Oh, stop by the desert on my way to the
Oh,
beach. Don't be jealous.
yeah. um I there's a lot of inspiration for me in the other Black female landscape photographers, the as not necessarily just the subject matter, but just knowing like that there's other Black women out there doing this, and I'm not the only one, like sometimes climbing under fences and trying to figure out the good, like trying to get around that corner to get the good angle on that sunset or whatever, but it's inspiring to me to know that that we're out here doing this, and that the momentum is out there, and the attention is growing, and like it's just a cool time to be a photographer right now, I think.
I agree. I agree. That's thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Um, yeah. Next question. I know you got me with that. It's just,
Oh,
when we decided to create the group, to hear, other women such as ourselves, say like, there's someone else on the island.
yeah,
That looks like me.
exactly. Exactly.
And it is just,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Um,
Yeah.
it really is amazing. Let's talk about gear. I think this is a good time to talk about gear, because you and I are like, we practice climbing.
Yes.
So what if it's a fence? It's still climbing. Um, and I
I
so bad. I'll look around. I'm like, is there a camera?
uh, I try not to be super blatant, and yeah, like if there's other people, like I follow the rules, and like especially if I'm in a national park, like when they put up guardrails and stuff, like
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
leave that alone, like that's
yeah,
protected. But
yeah. You don't want to mess with
down here by the river, I'm like, oh, the DOT is not really gonna mind if I like cross the fence on there. Like they're not doing anything with that, and that's okay.
We're capturing the beauty of nature. Thank you very much.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Rifle,
what
Colorado needs some good press, so
exactly? Yes.
trying to make it look pretty.
Can't wait. All right, so let's move on to gear, not so much as camera gear, but that other gear that we like to have with us. You are an outdoor woman with a love of landscape photography. What is that one item that you have to have with you when you're out? Don't say a rope. No.
Right. No, so I have I love my fanny pack. It's a giant like 5-liter fanny pack. It's huge. I it but it fits my mirrorless and 2 or 3 lenses and a water bottle, and because it rides on my hips and it doesn't wear on my shoulders.
Okay.
That is, and that's why that's my go-to bag, actually, if
What
I'm
brand
just
is that?
out. It's Mountain Smith, so it's not really a photography bag per
Mhm.
se. But it's spacious, and it's got this nice padded hip strap, and it stays really well. And yeah, my shoulders don't hurt. So I
That's
like
the
it.
thing with us, being out here, finding that right backpack, or
Yeah.
because it's like, all right, I don't have the man torso. And I know there are some companies that are coming out with, or have came out with some backpacks to be more unisex.
Mhm.
But for me, I still find it to be a bit of a challenge. And I ended up using like my day my day hiking backpack, where I had the mesh to separate and get some of those the camera pockets that can protect my DSLR.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's nothing like having all of that heaviness on your back and it.
Yeah. Well, that's the struggle, right? Is you get a regular backpack, and you're putting all that weight just right on your shoulders. And that's why I was like, well, but the nice thing about the backpack, right, is you sling one arm out, and you just bring it around, and you can open it up. But if you've got like your hiking pack that has the strap at the waist, you can't really do that. It's not as easy to maneuver around. So that's what made me think gigantic fanny pack, because I can swing it around in front and have it just pouched in front, and open
Right.
it and access all my gear really easy. And it's, yeah, like not sitting on my shoulders and killing me. So yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about favorite backpack / fanny pack. And I know Rifle, Colorado has its change of seasons, or Colorado and Aspen. So let's talk about, your favorite or your recommended cold weather gear.
Oh, well, anytime I'm coming out in Colorado, I am packing like a ton of layers, and no cotton. So everything's like a synthetic blend, breathable. And I use, if it's particularly cold, I will use some fleece lined pants, and then I just wear my ski jacket, my like Solomon ski jacket,
Okay.
to keep me warm, because it's got a nice big hood.
And what about gloves? Do you have like the photographer gloves where you can take your finger out to?
No, although that would be clever, because that would just be easier. Yeah, I have gloves that they supposedly have the touch. They don't work.
Yeah, I found some of those gloves, the photographer gloves. When I went up to Alaska, I was like,
I want that. Yeah. Well, I have thought about getting those, like when you were a kid and you had like the gloves, and then it had the like mitten that pulled over it. And I was like, oh, those would work. I should have like mittens that I could like peel off and have my fingers out, because I'm constantly just peeling my gloves off to do the fine adjustments, and then my hands are freezing, and putting them back on and dropping them, and I'm a mess.
Yeah, not fun at all. It is so not fun. So we're talking about the jackets and the ski jacket, and you are out there, and when we're taking these pictures, it's not like, okay, jump out the car, 10 minutes, snap snap, jumping back. So you're like on your feet for hours. Yeah. What is your favorite boot or a shoe to help sustain your feet? Because we will get an attitude if our feet hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes straight down the toilet once my feet are cold or wet, or I'm done. I don't care how pretty it is. I'm going home. My feet are cold. I'm done. Yes. So in the winter, I had these like, I don't know, they're like super high tech. I mean, they're huge. They like, I don't have a very big foot, but these are like clown shoes. They're huge. They're like insulated. I think, I don't even remember if they're Columbia or something like that. But that's in the winter, that's what I'm wearing, because it just gets so cold. But if I'm going on more of a day adventure and hitting a 10-mile trail or something like that, I'm actually a shoe hiker. I will wear a like a trail runner shoe.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Just they'll still have the stiff like rock plate underneath to protect the bottom of my foot. They have the treads to grip the trail. And I have found that if the lighter the better, basically. If I'm carrying a lot of weight on my feet, like I get tired just that much faster. So plus all that weight of the camera gear, right? So
yes.
gotta be like bodybuilder.
There's Natalie. How do you get so fit? I'm a landscape and nature photographer, and I hike 10 miles to take a beautiful image.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
Right. You know, you get to see a lot more than you do on the treadmill, that's for sure.
Yes.
Any other recommended gear that you would, suggest to people that, are thinking about being out and about, especially in a climate where it gets cold?
I can't stress enough, like knowing the weather report before you go out, around here. But I like to bring hiking poles. They're as kind of an additional piece of gear that you might not really think of when you think of photography, like but I'll tell you why. Is one thing is takes the wear and tear off the feet and the knees when you're doing these 10-mile hikes, and you can use it to stabilize the camera a little bit. Like it's not a perfect tripod, but it's also better than carrying the weight of a tripod. So I just use the hiking poles and kind of improvise with poles and a leg, or just holding it steady, and I've got the two poles, and I'm like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it saves the tripod weight. So
we need to invent like the hiking pole / monopod. You unscrew the handle or something, or hit a switch and the screw comes up and you can put you heard it here. You heard it here first.
That's it. That's right.
That's us right here.
TM.
Yes, exactly. No one else. Sorry. We've already came up with the idea. Contact us so we can discuss it further.
That's right. That's right.
What advice would you give to someone that's, ready to get into photography? So like if you were talking to a group of young women and they're like, I want to do it too.
I would say start with where you live. You don't have to make some elaborate trip across the world to Iceland, or start with where you live. Like go to your park, there are pretty places to find. So explore where you live. Get to know your camera, whatever that is. Even if you're using a cell phone camera, like you can take amazing pictures with a cell phone camera. It's not, like I said earlier, like it's not necessarily about the gear. Right. Develop your eye as a photographer. Look at other people's art, see what you like really look at it, critique it. What do I like about this? What don't I like about this? And honestly, I think that when you're starting out, that what do they say? Basically, that copying is a form of flattery. Like copy other people's work. Go out and try it yourself. Like it's okay to go to the same spot, like, oh, this person took this amazing picture and that's just down the block from me, you know, go try it out, see if you can replicate that, because it's going to be different. It's a different day.
Mhm.
It's different conditions. And you're a different person. Maybe they're 6 feet tall and you're 5 feet tall.
Mhm.
Like, you're gonna find something different about it. And I think that you know, you just have to explore your creativity, like, a lot.
Love that advice.
Mm.
Like a lot.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
What does it mean to
Find
you?
your niche. Yeah.
Right. That repeat that, right? Find your niche, you know.
Find your niche. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I always tell people, you know, you can't sit up here and try and be like somebody else, you know, just like burger places. You know,
Yeah.
how many burger spots are they? But each one has its unique flavor or method that they do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you gotta, you know, you can start, I feel like you can start by copying somebody, but you'll find your voice.
Mhm.
And you know, it's a good way to kind of get into it, like, well, what did they do to get that? Well, but you know, well, maybe I can try that, but maybe I'm going to put my own spin on it. um and like I said, like, that's the amazing thing about photography, is that every day is different and brings different
Yes.
conditions. And you can go this, you could probably pick one place and go there the same, you know, the same time every day for a year, and come up with just such, you know, 365 photos that look completely different.
Right.
Maybe,
Mhm.
probably.
No, you know, actually, they would be. You know,
Yeah,
the sun, the clouds, the sky, something is going to
yeah,
be different. The way
yeah.
that, yes, different. Um, yes. What does it mean to you to see other women of color in this genre?
Ugh. Well, it's, like I said, such a huge inspiration. I feel as though, um, when you kind of look at the famous photographers from, you know, back in the day, you're talking about you know, of course, a bunch of white men, right? And nothing against that. My mentor at Olympus is a white guy, and he's an incredible photographer. He's taught me so much. But to see, um to really see myself doing something, and to be able to see someone who I can really identify with doing something, like, you fly drones, that's incredible, and not something I ever thought about, until I was like, Angela flies drones, that is so cool. Maybe I need to try that, like, you know. But again, like, it's just endlessly inspiring to me to see that, you know. I fall into this a lot. I am in a very much a monoculture out here, and I kind of stand out like a sore thumb. And um you know, and that's okay, that's my life, and that's okay. I'm down with it, I'm here for it. But
You are the diamond.
that's right, I'm the diamond. And um but you know, it can be lonely. And so even to see other faces that look like mine, like, even online, is just like, oh, yeah, I'm not alone out there, you know.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
And you won't be next year either when we come.
In September, I am so excited.
We are
That is going to
too.
be the best.
For those of you watching, one of our on location is going to take place in Rifle, Colorado.
I got the city.
So Natalie has so generously been working with us so that we can coordinate and have this wonderful and amazing adventure out there capturing and, her sharing, the things that are around her. So please check into our website to, sign up and let us know that you're interested, because we're going to be sending out information, a little bit more detail, so that people can plan ahead for our own locations that we have scheduled for next year. So yeah, we are really excited about that. So a lot of detail to come with that. And before we get ready to close out, I want to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to share with those that will be watching this interview?
Well, if you're watching and you're a Black female landscape photographer, like, come visit me. It is so great here. I want to meet you. But yeah, I'm just honored to, and excited to be a part of this group. And you'll see me on the Instagram page and the Facebook page, like cheering people, like, oh, your photos are so beautiful. And I'm yeah, even I just, like, that's one of the things, even when I don't feel like doing social media, that's one of the things that I like. Oh, but I have to see if there's anything new on the group, and I have to see what Angela and Keisha and Dawn and all these wonderful women, what are they up to? What are they doing? What did they photograph today?
It's so cool to get messages where, from people that are like, I had no idea that, she is here and she's close to me, or, she's out doing this. So it's really heartfelt to see and get those messages. And I almost forgot, as we were talking about Rifle, Colorado, someone has a calendar available.
Yes, I do.
And how can people find out about the calendar?
Well, so visit my Instagram page. There's a link to my website there. The website is ngwildernessphotography.com. And the photograph and some of my other prints are on sale right now.
Yay.
And the calendar, rather. The calendar is on sale there right now. So that'd be awesome. Yeah, come by.
Right. For people that, get a chance, even if you're not into photography, check out her awesome calendar. She has it available now. And you'll be able to see some of Rifle, Colorado, and just like, oh, that's so pretty. Yeah. And she's an outdoor woman. So, she captures stuff that is not like just hop out the car and just go and get. She's out there climbing and, doing all type of things, and capture some really beautiful images. So we mentioned Instagram, we have your website. Is there any other places where people can find you, or they can basically just, hit either Instagram or your website and be able to?
Well, Facebook also. I'm on Facebook, website, Instagram. They're all NG Wilderness Photography. So
all right,
you can find me there.
Yay. Thank you so much, Natalie, for
this was fun.
It was. I appreciate you. And just again, thank you for sharing a part of yourself with our viewers and for being in the group. You just, it means a lot. Building this community is something that, we definitely need to do. And, we've all had that feeling of being on the island alone, and to see more of us, it's just like, why not? Where do you live? Let's get together. So we will conclude with, our viewers, please, like, subscribe, and share this video. Check out our Instagram page. Check out our website. Again, the website has information, which we also have a page that has our photographers page as well. So check that out. Has our events page, some of our past or our first on location, which was here in San Diego. So again, thank you all for watching. Again, like, share, comment, subscribe to our channel. There's more to come, and we will go ahead and see you guys in the next Photog Talk.